Hare Krishna. Shrimad Bhagvad Geeta, Chapter 1, Verse 1. Dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsavaha mamakaha pandavaschaiva kim kuruvata sanjaya. So, the battle of Mahabharat was going to begin, and the king Dhritarashtra, who was blind since his birth, and he was the eldest son. So, being the eldest son, he was supposed to be seated on the throne. But due to the suggestion of his younger brother Vidur, who was the chief minister also, Vidur advised that since Dhritarashtra was blind since his birth, so this will not be fit to offer him the throne, because he will not be able to save the public, which is the prime duty of a king. So, being blind, he would prove to be a weak king, a weak ruler. So he suggested that the throne be given to his younger brother Pandav or Pandu, and to the suggestion of chief minister Vidur, everybody else agreed, and as a result the throne was given to Pandu or Pandava. Pandu died, leaving his 5 sons who were quite young and who could not be offered throne. Yudhishthir was the eldest amongst the Pandu's sons. So, according to the custom, the throne was to be offered to Yudhishthir, who was elder to even Dhritarashtra's son. Dhritarashtra's eldest son's name being Duryodhana. Even Duryodhan was younger to Yudhishthir. But since Yudhishthir was too young at that time when Pandu or Pandav died, so Dhritarashtra was made caretaker, and he was offered the throne till Yudhishthir grows up and gets ready to take the responsibility of the throne. So, this way Dhritarashtra was offered the throne. He was being seated, but as a guardian, not in this capacity that he was the king. He was not made the king, he was made the caretaker. This created a lot of pain and a feeling of injustice in the heart of Dhritarashtra. He believed that injustice was being done to him due to the interference and suggestion of his younger brother, who was the chief minister, named Vidur. So he kept nurturing that feeling of pain and injustice in his heart to the extent that he transferred all his feelings in his eldest son Duryodhana. And Duryodhana also started believing that injustice was done to his father, and now by offering the throne to Yudhishthir, who was Pandu's eldest son, this would again be an injustice to Duryodhana himself. This was his belief, because his father transferred his own feelings into his son. So, keeping this in mind, now, as this big fight, the big battle of Mahabharata was going to begin, and King Dhritarashtra was sitting in his palace, caretaker king, of course, and in front of him was sitting Sanjay, who was given vision as a boon that while sitting in the palace, he could see what was happening at Kurukshetra, where the battle was going to begin. And both sides were standing facing each other. So, obviously, due to all this, because everything of Dhritarashtra was at stake, his 100 sons, his 16,000 Akshauhini army, their future was at stake, because whosoever would have won the war, the battle, that side would rule. So, due to this reason, the anxiety in Dhritarashtra was extreme, obviously. So, due to that anxiety, since he knew that the battle was going to begin, and since he knew that Sanjay could see Kurukshetra while sitting in the palace, so he asked Sanjay, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre. Now, Kurukshetra is the name of a place where the battle was going to begin. But Dhritarashtra called it Dharma Kshetra, means a place where justice would be done. Because, as explained earlier, according to Dhritarashtra's belief, injustice was being done to him. He did not accept that God had not given him eyes. So, if God wanted, if it was God's will or wish that he become a king, so God might have given him eyes. But instead of that, he believed that he could have got the throne, but due to the interference of Vidur, he could not get it. So, according to his belief, now in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, justice would be done by God, the Almighty, and he wanted to see what is going to happen. So, based upon this belief, he is asking Sanjay, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre, that Kurukshetra where the battle is going to begin, and According to him, that was Dharma Kshetra. Samaveta Yujutsavaha. Samaveta means all have gathered there. All means Kauravas and Pandavas. Both sides have gathered there at Kurukshetra. And gathered with what intention? Not due to love, of course. Not due to care and share. No. They are going to fight for the throne. So, because whosoever would win would get the kingdom. So, Dhritarashtra is saying, Sanjay, Mamakaha Pandavaschaiva Kim Kuruvat Sanjaya. He is asking, Sanjay, please tell me what are my and Pandava's sons doing there in the battlefield. So, overall, he is asking that my and Pandava's sons who have gathered at Kurukshetra, who he believes is a Dharma Kshetra, so what are they going to do? What are they up to? As he is very eager and anxious to know. Now, if we take it as a part of a story and we end the explanation here, then it remains only the part of a story. But the hidden message behind this is that any battle, big or small, any fight, even the smallest fight, begins from mine and yours. This is mine, this is yours. Till both the parties are caring and sharing, because caring and sharing are connected, interconnected. Where there is care, nobody minds sharing also. But when somebody is not caring, so one doesn't get ready to share. The way Duryodhana rejected Sri Krishna's offer, that I am not going to give even 5 villages and leave behind giving 5 villages, I will not give even the tip of a needle. That land, the land which is equivalent to the tip of a needle, I am not ready to pay them, give them. So, in such a scenario, when somebody else is trying to snatch your right, when somebody is not giving you your right, rather by hook or crook or by anything else, or even the person or the group of people such as this, along with their armies, are trying to snatch others' right. In such a scenario, now if one party, one side believes that injustice was done to me, as Dhritarashtra believed, but the belief of any human being may not be always true, because what is justice and what is not is decided by God. Because God is impartial. The person may be biased, God is not. So God can impartially decide who is right, who is not. And God always takes the side of the one who is right. God never takes the side of a person or people who are wrong. And the side on which God is, only that side wins. This is believed by all around the world. So due to this reason that the belief of Dhritarashtra was self-made, God can decide in a much better way because God knows about our previous karmas and previous births, which we do not know. And sometimes, even in this birth, when somebody does something wrong, he or she may believe that I have not done anything wrong according to that person's belief. But that particular person's belief may not be correct. So in that a case where somebody is doing wrongdoings the way Dhritarashtra did, because due to his belief and due to his high ambition, he had forgotten the difference between a right and wrong, to the extent that when his daughter-in-law Draupadi was being insulted in the presence of everyone in the palace hall, he remained silent. He did not speak even a word, whereas he could have. He had the power to stop his son from doing what he was doing. But he kept mum. He remained silent because he wanted his sons to win on all fronts and rule the country. So, when somebody forgets the difference between right and wrong, so that person might forget, but God never forgets, because God is impartial. God can very fairly decide who is right, who is wrong. So, you can say that it was Sri Krishna who participated in that big battle. So, was Sri Krishna in favor of battle? The answer is no. It was Sri Krishna who went to Duryodhana with the offer that you please give Pandavas only 5 villages. But despite of agreeing to Sri Krishna's offer for maintaining peace, he outrightly rejected and said, no, I will not give any space to Pandavas. So Sri Krishna was left with no other option but to decide whose side he would take, because he is the one who does justice to all. So for doing justice, he took the side of Pandavas, because Pandavas were right and Kauravas were wrong. Because if God has to be fair and God has to decide, he would always favor right. and never favor wrong. For some time it may seem that, oh, whatever God did, was it right? Was it wrong? But human being can err in making judgment. God never makes a wrong judgment. God's judgment is always correct. He may not punish somebody immediately. He has got the power to punish somebody later, during that lifetime or maybe next lifetime. He can punish any time. So, the hidden message from this verse, which is the very first verse of Bhagavad Gita, is that any fight, big or small, begins from mine and yours. And God always wants us to be caring and sharing and not fight over these issues. But if somebody becomes adamant, the way Duryodhana became, because his upbringing was such that he was made to believe by his own father that the right upon the throne is yours and you should get it. So he became very adamant according to his belief, because he believed that if Yudhishthir would get the throne, then again injustice would be done to him. Previously, the injustice was done to his father, and this time it will be done with me. So, based upon this belief, he rejected Sri Krishna's offer, which was to maintain peace. Sri Krishna would have convinced Pandavas that, okay, be satisfied with 5 villages. But when Duryodhana was so adamant and hell-bent upon fighting, so Sri Krishna was left with only one option, and hence he made the choice. So if we do not catch this message of this verse remains just the part of a story. But the real thing we have to understand, that every fight begins from this is mine, this is yours. And one party refuses to share or give the others due. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.